Hello, I'm Monica Price and welcome to Cuppa TV. On today's show, I'm joined by Jordan Adams, singer-songwriter who joins us today to share his new single, Hold On. Also joining me is John Rushton, our emotions expert, and we talk about how emotions, positivity and negativity can affect the illness that we may live with. And my final guest today is a lady that's come all the way from New Jersey, America. We have an author that's written many books and specialises with children who live with autism. My first guest today is a gentleman that's joined me previously on many times actually on Cuppa TV, and he's joining me now again to talk about his latest single. We welcome to the show Jordan Adams. Jordan, thank you so much.
Hi, nice to be here.
Joining me again on Cuppa TV. Jordan, tell us about what you've been doing. I mean, we recently spoke to you and you were talking about your single. What's been happening?
Well, we recorded the single. I think that's last time I spoke to you.
Right.
And the single's called Hold On. And it was written with the thought in mind that, you know, it's a difficult journey in life on any level. Sometimes we encounter problems, and it doesn't matter what happens in life, we just need to keep going and hold on to your dreams and what you believe in. And so this is where the kind of essence of the song came from. So we've written this, it's a very universal song in its content because it has a great meaning, which means that it'll mean something to you, it means something to me and everybody else that listens to it. So we recorded the song, and of course to go with the song, we wanted a video to go with that as well. So we've also recorded the video.
Wonderful. Excellent. And how did that go? Tell us about the video making.
The video is amazing actually, because we filmed it at a little theatre called the Lantern Theatre in Sheffield. And this theatre was built in 1893, and it's the oldest working theatre in Sheffield. And it only seats 84 people. So it's tiny. And it's just steeped with history. It's beautiful. So that's where we actually we shot the video, which was great. It's an unusual experience when you shoot a music video.
Did you enjoy it?
I loved it, but I always thought that people were lip syncing. And of course they lip sync, but I had to sing the song about 16 times. Yeah. In order to get
Welcome to the world of
right.
media.
I know, it's great, isn't it? You'd think I'd know that, wouldn't you? Think I'd know that. That's why in the past that's where I've been going wrong. You
want to be a global superstar, Jordan? Yeah. This is what it's
on
like.
The way.
Absolutely. But I mean, it's very exciting. I mean, as I say, you've joined us before on the show, and your career just seems to really be escalating quite rapidly, actually.
Very rapidly.
Are you sort of taking a deep breath and trying to get stock, or how has it been for you?
Do you know what? I'm a great believer in you've got to grasp the moment. You've got to run with it while you can, because you just don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's happening, you know, tomorrow. I don't know what's happening next week. Oh, of course, I've got stuff in my diary, but the diary just gets fuller and fuller, and I don't stop. You know, I'm on the music 24/7. Whether it be writing songs, recording songs, thinking about storyboards for videos, whether or not it's because of course we spoke before, and everything that I do is generated through fan funding. So whether or not it's what am I going to do for the fans, what are they going to get back? We've got the launch party coming up on the 19th of September. The single is released on the 18th of September. It's available to download and pre-order now on iTunes and Amazon. But the actual launch party to celebrate is on the 19th of September. Now, that is where I'm bringing everybody together that's been on this huge journey with me to celebrate. So I should be showcasing the songs, some new songs there, and putting on some live performance. But again, that's something that's incredibly exciting. And it's something that all my fans and supporters that have been with me along the way are incredibly passionate about, and they can't wait to get there.
And now you've got to this point, I mean, has it always been an easy journey, or has it been a difficult journey for you?
It's a difficult journey, and actually that's what's behind the whole song, Hold On, because it's the journey that I've been on has been both bitter and sweet, is the line from the song, and that's exactly what it is. Sometimes it's really, really good, sometimes it can be hard work, you know. And you know, but a lot of the time the good outweighs the bad, and as long as you keep going and believing in yourself and keep striving for your dream, I suppose, then you can achieve anything.
And hard work.
Hard work, yes. You know, you can't get anything in this life without hard work. It doesn't come easy. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, you know, that people don't see at the front of anything to do with music. Even, you know, even managing your digital media, you know, press releases, and because a lot of the information that goes out there is all generated from myself anyway, and it's really important that it's accurate and interesting and continually updated. And that's why there's lots of things that, you know, we keep pushing forward.
We spoke about that actually with other musical artists,
yeah.
and talking about the importance of social media and how to react, you know, and interact with the fans. Is that important to you, Jordan?
Yeah,
as well?
I mean, I do. My social media goes crazy, and I make sure that every single day, without fail, I spend time speaking to fans, responding, thanking new followers, putting new photographs out there, videos, material, interesting facts, because you know, these supporters and fans of mine, they are so loyal that they deserve to be on this journey every step of the way. The great thing about it being fan funded is that the video in itself, if it wasn't for these guys that were supporting me, this video wouldn't be happening, or wouldn't have happened, the single wouldn't have happened. And each and every single person that's been involved has a little bit of ownership there. You know, when they're watching the video, they can watch it and know that they've helped contribute towards that. And the same with the song, when they listen to it, they know that, you know, if it wasn't for their contribution and support, that song wouldn't be there, they wouldn't be listening to it. So it's a great way for them to see exactly how their supporters helped me develop as an artist.
I mean, the fans are really important to you, Jordan.
Yeah.
I know that they are, and they are to many musical artists, but they're particularly important for you, aren't they? Because they have come on this journey with you.
Yeah.
And as you say, you're just about to do a big launch in September. Yeah. And are you feeling quite emotional about that?
Yeah, I am actually. You know, when when the song was written, there was a lot of emotion that was written in that. And I remember being in the studio with Andy when we were writing it, and the lyrics that were being put down, the music that was being put around it, you know, it brought a tear to my eye, because it brought home to me exactly how hard it's been, but how lucky I've been with the support that I've had, and how I just haven't given up.
And with this new single, Your Love, is it going to be something that you think is going to escalate you on to do an album? You know, is this what you want to do? I'm
working on the EP now.
Yes.
Yeah, so I've been in the studio already, working on new tracks for it, writing new tracks, collaborating with other songwriters. The track Hold On is just really the beginning of the journey for me, really. And, you know, I do have a great passion for it. You know, I do have a real love for it. And it's something, that is what keeps me motivated. That's what keeps me driven.
Well, we're going to watch the video, of course.
Yeah.
But just a little, go back to the video before we actually get to view it. So you as you say, you did it in this very intimate small theatre with other people, and it's called Your Love.
Hold On.
Hold On, sorry.
Yeah.
So, I do apologise. Hold On.
Yeah.
And it's called Hold On. And when you were writing that, and you said it was quite emotional for you, and you had a journey with that, now you're actually going to see it actually finally come to fruition, that must be, as we said, very emotional for you, and it must give you a sense of pride as well.
Absolutely, because the first time that you see a video that is a representation of your music and the hard work, yeah, it is. It does. It does make you. It makes you realise how worthwhile everything is in the end, you know. And it's a beautiful video, and it was a beautiful location, and the fans love it. I love it, and it's a great representation of what the song means. And
would you do anything differently if you could have recorded it? Was it perfection first off?
Absolutely not.
I had to say that.
Yeah, well, I made sure that when we were doing the storyboard, I wanted it to be raw. I wanted it to be captivating, endearing. I didn't want it to be completely polished and perfect, because when you first start off in the music industry or any industry, it's not about it being perfect, you know. It's about you making the most of every opportunity, and this is only the beginning for me. And you know, it's a journey. The video represents that. Because of my love for musical theatre as well, it was really important that we shot the video in a location that meant something to me.
I was going to ask you, because I know that you performed in the theatre.
Yeah.
Is that why you did the video there,
yeah,
Jordan?
Absolutely. And it was I never thought that I'd be performing on stage again after being away from it for so long. So I never thought I'd be performing in a theatre, never mind going and recording a video within a theatre, because this is where it all starts, you know.
Wonderful. Well, we're going to be watching some of your beautiful video, but before I do that, John, so what's after this? You've got your launch, and then what?
Yes, I mean, I've got lots of live lounges that are lined up.
Yes.
Lots of personal appearances literally over the next few weeks. There's a lot of marketing and publicity which is going to be started next week. So I'm going to be doing my own radio show for a couple of hours, and I'm going to be on lots of different radio stations.
Tune in, it's Jordan.
Yeah, it's me. I'm going to be all over the place doing it, really. So just to make sure that you know, all the fans get to hear the track, and make sure all the fans that I've got there. Of course, because it started off being a very local thing for me, but as the months have gone by, and it is a very short period of time, like I said, you know, this journey only really started for me in I think January when I was in Open Mic UK. February, then March was really when it all kicked off.
I think when you first came on the show, you literally just started.
Yes. So since then, my support base, my fan base has grown, and it's not so much local. You know, it's going out on a national basis, which is great, and even international. You know, I've been on calls, radio stations in Hollywood and also in Florida, because they absolutely love the song.
Wonderful. Well, we're going to listen to it now, Jordan. So thank you so much for coming and joining us again. Always run out of time with you, but thank you so much. So to play us out to the break, we've got Jordan Adams' new single, Hold On.
So many years I've wasted, the bitterness I've tasted was feeling so far from home. All tied up in frustration, confused by expectations. My heart was weighed down, but light shines the brightest in the dark. And hope can even find a path to broken hearts. The journey I've been on has been both bitter and sweet. The road has been much too long, and though I'm always tempted to let go of my dreams, there's something inside that says, hold on. So find me my conviction, now clear of my direction. I'm feeling closer to home. My blood is flowing stronger. I know that I belong here. In all these ways I've grown. Now light shines, extinguishing the dark.
back to Cuppa TV. I'm now joined by John Rushton, our emotions expert, and we're going to be talking today about illness and the effect it can have on you. So John, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Monica.
John, let's talk about when people are ill and the effect it does have on their emotions. Would you say that there is, is there a difference between a man and a woman? What's your thoughts on that?
I think the way they actually portray illness is slightly different, but it comes from the same place. If you are ill, you're ill. And I think, like everything in life, how you deal with life comes from up here. It doesn't come from anywhere else. It doesn't come from a magazine or your doctor or the hospital or some statistic. It comes from you. How you deal with it is a very personal thing. Some people who have a cold are dying every day, and some people who actually suffer horrific illnesses are joyful and ebullient and brilliant, and they smile and laugh because they've come to terms with it. And I think this is how you are in life per se.
Because I have some very inspirational people on my show, both
Yes.
male and female, who've overcome enormous illnesses and difficulties in their life, things like cancer, multiple sclerosis, suffering with dementia, and they always have a very positive outlook on life. Is it a personal thing? Is it just because the type of person you are will determine how you react to, say, if you were diagnosed with cancer or multiple sclerosis or Alzheimer's? Is it a personal thing of how you're going to react to that news?
What I've gleaned from sort of speaking to similar people over the years is there are two parts to it. There's if you know somebody who's suffering like that, you often wonder how you would cope if you were told you would have that kind of illness, which is a slightly different thing from actually being told you have that illness and then coming to terms with it. Quite often a lot of people have a little dip, which is quite understandable because they are thinking about it. It's a real realization of life, where you are, what you've done, what you would have liked to have done or what you can do, where you're going to go, all these kind of things, your family, your friends, your thought process, your world, where, all the little funny things. Oh, I'd like to do this, I'd like to do that. Maybe you just can't anymore. Maybe it's just not going to materialize. Maybe you're going to have to reevaluate your life sort of mega time. And that takes a little time to sink in. But a lot of people I've actually come across who've been dealt with a very unfavourable hand have actually come to terms with it, and they've been very, very humble, and they've had a rather nice attitude towards life, as if they've accepted it. Well, this is the way it is, and I'm going to make the best of what time I have left, or I'm going to make the best of the situation I'm in. It's not perfect, but it's 100% better than nothing. And I actually want to do this because of the friends and family around me and that four-letter word, love. If love is there, you will do it. And you will get that reciprocated from your friends as well, because they will see you making an effort. And it's like everything in life, it's a two-way scenario. You put something in and you'll get something out. If you just take, you'll end up with nothing because there'll be nothing to take.
I mean, there's things you said there, a positive attitude. There's a saying, isn't there? Positive
Yes.
mental attitude. Would you say that's true? Would you agree with that statement, that a positive mental attitude will actually put you in better stand for life, for the whole of your life? Would you agree with that?
Definitely. I mean, statistically, if you have a negative attitude, your immune system is lowered between 10 to 15%.
Really?
Which means that you can actually get some little scratches and itches and twitches and tummy problems and bowel problems and all of these things you're constantly doing because your immune system is just 1 degree below what it should be. And you go to your doctor and the doctor said, well, listen, I've done blood tests and swabs and everything, and you're okay. And it's psychosomatic. And the moment you change your attitude, click, you're okay again. And some people actually go through life having low-level flu symptoms, which never materializes into anything. And their life changes for the better. And all of a sudden their flu symptoms have gone and they've changed immeasurably. And not only that, your outlook in life, how you see life, how you react with people, how people react with you, changes in relation to how you are. And positivity makes a world of difference. It's not just one of these theoretical things, oh, be positive,
yes,
it's
because
good.
lots of people say that,
Yes,
don't they?
they
Be
do.
positive,
Yes, and you think, well, yes, I'm hearing that all the time, but
Yes.
nothing's changed for me. But when you say there's nothing changed for me, are you being positive? Are you waiting for that something to go oh, positives hit me, I'm all right now. You know, you've got to do it. You've got to walk the walk, talk the talk, because positivity is a personal thing from you. It's not from outside in, it's from inside out. You can make the change. And so you've got to make that change wholeheartedly. And when it comes to an illness, so many people live longer, enjoy a better quality of life, enjoy everything that is good around them to a higher level if they're positive. And I mean, that's been proven. It's not just a theoretical thing.
No, there's been some scientific studies done on that, exactly that, to say that positivity, you know, is a good thing and you should always have a positive frame of mind. What is it like though if you just can't have a positive frame of mind for whatever reason, you know, but particularly linked to any illness, if you've been given and you just can't seem to get out of the depths of the fact, you know, you might have been diagnosed with cancer, for instance, and you know, you might have only been given a few months to live. Some people react to that completely differently, won't they? Some people react in a positive way and say, well, I'm going to do everything I can. Other people will say, well, I don't want to do that, I'm going to just have this last time peaceful and quiet. How do you do that, John? And is there a right or wrong way for any of that sort of reaction to that sort of statement?
I don't think there's a right or wrong way, and I think it's a difficult move to make. I think a lot depends on you as a person, and a lot also depends on people around you. You tend to actually have people around you who are like you. So if you're positive, all you want around yourself are positive people, because negative people don't have a place in your life. Because negative people are emotional vampires. All they want to do is drain you for themselves. Oh, about me, my life, my this, oh, if you knew, if I can. You know, where does that go? It doesn't, this is all about the past. You know, life is about the future, and you're living the future now, today, for tomorrow. And this is what you do, regardless of your situation. Today is the base of tomorrow, where you're going to go. And so I think for negative people who get into a certain situation, and as you rightly said, some people are like that almost naturally, or they've been brought up into such a situation that they can't actually tear themselves away from it. It's just really difficult. It's down to your friends to actually pull you through. And I think they can pull you through.
I was going to say, if you are, if you like, a negative person, can you become a positive person?
Yes, you can. I've seen that as well. I've seen people just snap from one side to another because they've just had that realization that, wow, you know, if I do change that, life is better, people treat me better. And you see, if you are positive, you look at the good things, you look at the way out, you look at the exit sign to find something. If you're negative, you dwell on the negativity, you dwell on the problem. And if you dwell on the problem, you never see the solutions. You can't see them both together. People who are positive, entrepreneurs, people who are sort of creative people, always look at the positive side, because that is where the answer lies. That is where the future lies. That is where the excitement lies. Negative people dwell on the negative side of life, which is not going well. That's why they don't feel well, where they haven't got anything good to say, where it's always somebody else's problem, or they're not doing this, or they're unfortunate. Positive people never say that. They say, oh, to hell with it, let's do this instead. And they have a laugh, and off they go. And this is just down to up here, nowhere else.
Is there any sort of tips you could give perhaps viewers that are watching this, you know, and finding themselves perhaps in a place where they perhaps don't want to be and they want to become more positive? Is there anything that you could say to them to encourage them to do that? Is there any mantras that they could use, John?
I think there are a load of things you can do, and I think it's horses for courses. What suits the individual can be different as chalk and cheese. It depends on you as a person, what you like, where you've come from, what you're looking for, or how you've been brought up, and all these kind of things. But I think literally looking on the bright side, and we've just mentioned that it's not always that easy, but looking at the bright side actually does make a world of difference. And if you actually go that way and follow that route, you will actually feel a difference, because other people will treat you differently, and you think, wow, the reciprocation of that's really quite warming, it's quite good.
So that could have a positive effect and maybe change that person's way of thinking almost.
Almost sort of crank it up, because if you're nicer with people around you and they reciprocate, that gets better, because the higher both of you go, or each party goes, the better it really, really does get.
And again, take it back to illness, you know, when somebody's poorly or seriously ill, is it always best to think, you know, right, I'm going to do this, be positive about that, take steps to change it or to make yourself well? That will have a beneficial effect on the illness that you have?
It does. I mean, statistically as well, they've done lots of tests on positively minded people and negatively minded people, and the positive people do get better far, far quicker. I mean, some get immeasurably better in next to no time. It's just because it's just a mindset. This is what they're doing. This is how they're going to go. There's no option. This is it. Because you respect yourself and you respect those around you as well. Because if you love those around you, you don't want to drag them into your little world. You want to actually get out of yours to join theirs, because their world is fine, it's better. And so you elevate yourself up. And you don't want to talk about the negative things, because the more you talk about negative things, the more you're actually hearing it. It's a strange thing, but you actually listen to what you say. And negative people only hear negative things, hence they regurgitate it time and time again. Positive people hear good things because they say good things, and it comes as feedback, and they think, oh, that's good, and it automatically elevates them, so they say even better things next time. And it really does make a world of difference. The more you talk on the positive aspect of life, the better life will be for yourself.
Really? So again, just keep continually being positive, really.
Yes, totally.
In whatever happens, with illness or whatever in your life,
yes,
that will have a better impact on your life as a whole.
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
What you're saying.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's an incredible subject, isn't it? And one that we could spend a lot more time talking about, John. But, you know, just to finish off, what one thing would you say to someone to try and encourage them to be positive every day?
Look for the good things in life. And there are all those people who will say straight away, oh, if I only I could. Well, hey, forget that. Look for them. They are there.
Well, John, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you. That's it. We're going to take a quick break now, but come back and join me in just a minute. My final guest today is Lena McCallajay, a lady that's come all the way from New Jersey in America to talk to us today about working with children with autism. Lena, thank you so much for joining me on Cuppa TV, and welcome to the UK.
Thank you so much, Monica, for having me.
Wonderful to have you in the
so
studio, Lena. But now tell us, we've got a lot to talk about, but you specialise with working with children, but not just children, with anybody really that has autism. But so talk about, first of all, Lena, how and what autism is.
Well, autism is defined as developmental. It affects 3 domains in a child development: communication, behavioral, and social. Communication, in sometimes they don't speak, or they do have language and they use it in a limited fashion. Behavioral, in that certain things affect them, like the light or the sound or the smell. And social in the fact that some kids, they can't tie their shoe, they can't feed themselves. So it does affect those main domains in the child development.
There is different spectrums,
yes, different
isn't there?
spectrum.
That's what it's called, isn't it? Different spectrums of autism. Now, autism is something that people know about but probably don't quite understand. And you obviously specialise, you know, in teaching children in particular. Is that right?
Yes.
How and really, well, tell me, what exactly do you do, Lena, with the children?
Well, when the children are first diagnosed with autism, they come to me and they say the sooner you catch them, the better off you are, because autism affects their behavior. And if you can teach them how to behave, then they can manage it, because as of now, the scientists say there is no cure. So what you do, you try to modify the behavior and you teach them how to get along in the environment. For example, a child who's afraid of a siren. Because he's afraid of the siren doesn't mean you're not going to take him out in public. So what you do, you slowly teach him how to adapt and to cope with the environment.
And when, for the viewers that are watching, maybe that have a child that has autism but perhaps has not been diagnosed, what are the things to look for to think maybe that your child does have autism?
Some of the classic signs, because there are different spectrum.
Yes.
One of the classic signs, if you have a child, usually it's noted from the age of 18 months. So if you have a child that's acting normally and up to 18 months, you see the child stop playing, stop looking at you, the classic sign is they don't make eye contact.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that all children who don't make eye contact are, you know, have all, absolutely. Yes. But one of the classic signs, if the child is now stemming off one item, doesn't make eye contact, doesn't want to eat, doesn't want to play, isn't talking, those are signs that say, I think there's something wrong here.
And is it something that you're born with, or is it something that develops?
You know what? Over the years, talking with parents, they will give you a wide range of why they think their child has autism. Some people, as of now, like the scientists say, there's no cure, but parents will tell you they have a suspicion as to what it might be. Some people think they're born with it or it's developed. However, it's like a mystery because, you know, the sign for autism is a puzzle. So a lot of parents see it as a puzzle.
It's not clear,
It's not clear what it is.
And some parents then, Lena, would perhaps have a child, 2, 3, think maybe, there's something not quite right. But haven't yet identified it as autism. So again, for the classic signs you've just explained to us.
No eye contact.
No eye contact.
Stemming on one item, being just focusing on the light, the spinning, flapping, twirling, those are classic signs.
And noises affect children, don't they?
And if you see them covering the ears or humming, those are classic signs.
And do you think there's a stigma attached to autism, Lena?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, stigma is attached to all disabilities, and that is why some parents stay in denial for such a long time. They know something is wrong, they're not quite sure, but they don't want to admit there's something wrong with my child. There is a stigma indeed attached.
And why do you think that is? What's caused that? Is it public reaction?
I think people are not educated enough to realize that, children have autism. It's just like if I were to have cancer, it wouldn't be treated that way. But if you have a disability, people tend to look down their noses and they tend to treat you that way. So there is indeed a stigma attached, and parents are very wary to admit, yes, there is something wrong with my child.
And when the children come to you, do adults come to you as well? Do you have adults, but is it mainly children?
Just mainly children, and I teach the parents how to deal with the kids.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. So the parents would come to you as well, and then what tips and sort of, if you like, methods to help them with their autistic child, what would you say to them?
One of the main things you need is patience. Patience, patience, patience. Because with autistic kids, you have to have a routine, you have to do things over and over, you have to have a ton of patience to teach them the same thing over and over until they get it.
So autistic children like routine,
yes,
do they?
Yes.
So is that quite important?
Yes, it's very important to keep everything in a routine. Not to say you don't teach them how to go off the schedule. However, you do keep a routine until they learn the skill you're trying to teach them.
Fantastic. I mean, and you've done so much work, of course, and it's taken you all over the world, hasn't it? To the UK, of course, here.
Yes.
But you've also been, to China.
Jamaica.
And Jamaica. Tell us about those trips and what you discovered there.
Well, I have discovered that children are more alike than they're different. And no matter if they have a disability, they're still children. They're going to exhibit certain behaviors that children display. However, what brought me to China, when my book came out in 2012, a Chinese American got in touch with me on the internet, and we started communicating by email. And then eventually we started speaking on the phone, and she said she had a nephew in China who was autistic, and her sister was living there, and she was telling me the difficulties she was having there, not getting the services, the treatment, and she pretty much didn't know what to do. And then we pretty much became friends without having met in person, and she said, you know what, it would be a wonderful thing for you to visit China. And she was instrumental in translating my book into Mandarin. Yes. So my book was translated into Mandarin. I visited China, and I had a chance to visit one of the hospitals that treat kids with autism. I also had a chance to visit a school where young teachers were learning to deal with children with autism. And I actually met some children who were diagnosed with autism.
Wonderful. And when you were there, are the children taught in special schools in China?
Yes, they are.
So the autistic children are all together. Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing?
It's a good thing and a bad thing, saying that children, if you put them with other kids that have the behavior you want them to emulate, it's a good thing. However, there are certain children that need to be one-on-one until they master the skill you're trying to teach them. But my mantra is, once the child has learned a skill, I think it should be assimilated with the rest of the population.
And the average age of a child with autism, is there an age that it's suddenly recognised?
Yes.
What age is that?
18 months.
So 18
Usually
months.
18 months to 3 years. And if you can catch it then, you can treat it. Usually the longer you let it go, the harder it is to treat. and the worse it becomes.
Really?
Yes.
So that's interesting. So
Yes.
the earlier you catch,
Yes.
if you like, whatever, but the earlier you notice that your
Yes.
child may be having difficulties, then the actual methods that are taught to help that child are beneficial to allow the child to become. Can the child become less autistic? You know,
Yes.
Will the child remain autistic for the rest of their lives?
Well, as of now, the scientists are saying there is no cure for autism.
Yes.
However, I have seen people who function. As a matter of fact, I went to South Carolina in April of this year, and I gave a presentation, and there was a young man, he was off to college, and his mom told me the doctor said he would never speak, and now he's speaking. He academically is fine. The only thing he's still afraid of crossing the street. So they still have some spectrum, but they can learn to function.
And often autistic children are very gifted.
Absolutely.
You know, they're incredibly artistic and creative with either music or art.
Yes.
Did you find that when you were working with children, and especially when you're abroad, was music a big part of their learning? Were
Yes.
they encouraged to do
Yes.
that?
Music therapy, water therapy, art therapy, that's very important. Because sometimes things that are soothing, it calms them and it allows them to manage their
Yeah, I was going
behavior.
to ask you, is there a reason why music and creativity helps them?
Music is part of the soul, so I figure really music is meant for the soul. So I think no matter what stage you're in, you can benefit
You
from
can do
music.
that.
Yes,
And does it have that calming effect on them, Lena?
it certainly
Is that
does.
what it does?
It certainly does.
And when you were in Jamaica, was it the same? Did you find the same, or did you find it completely different?
I was amazed to know how many kids were diagnosed with autism in Jamaica when I went there. I was invited by the Kiwanis Club to give a presentation because when my book came out, it was a big thing there.
Yes.
And I was invited to give a workshop on autism. And even doctors and nursing, they were saying they didn't understand this thing. And a lot of parents were there, they were just in awe of what has happened to my child here. And there isn't much resource that they can use in Jamaica, but it's getting better.
Really?
Yeah.
And is that because they've just not identified it, or is it because the stigma attached to it? What was the reason?
There's a stigma attached to it, and they don't have the resources to diagnose it. So they just see the child flapping their arms or twirling around or stemming on something, and they think it's going to get better, but it doesn't.
So you need that help. And was it the same in China? Were you surprised at the amount of children?
Yes, I was really surprised about China.
So
Because, China is a closed society, so a lot of things we assume or we don't know about China until you get there. Parents were having the same concerns, just like everywhere else. What can be done to treat my child?
It's interesting, isn't it? Because no matter where you go in the world,
Yes.
all parents will have the same
Same
worries
concerns,
and
yes.
concerns about their child. And when you went to these other countries, you came back. How did that make you feel, Lena? Did that really make you feel that what you were doing, the methods that you were using, were correct, or did that
Yes.
make you change some of the things that you were
It
doing?
made me realize that children are the same wherever you go. And when I came back, I was more determined to continue speaking about autism because in America, April is considered Autism Month.
Right.
And there's a big deal in April about Autism Month. Then it kind of dies down. Other than the Autism Society, who always has like things in the papers and on the
Yes.
internet about autism, you don't really hear about it. But I teach these children. I see what parents go through. They need the continuous help. Not just when April comes around to talk about autism. There need to be an ongoing education how to deal with it because the parents, they are under stress as well.
Yes.
The whole family suffers when a child has autism.
And when you're, because you obviously work in New Jersey,
Yes.
when parents come to you, do they come to you on a daily basis? Are they referred to you? How does it work, Lena?
Sometimes I deal with the parents of the kids that I teach, but again, I do workshops. So what I do, I try to tell the parents, look, your child has autism. Try and treat him as special only as you need to. You know your child has autism. Try and teach the skill that he knows, but don't try to isolate the child from other things. Because if your child had, say, again, cancer or diabetes, you wouldn't say your child can't do this, can't do this. You treat the disease and you carry on. So what I do, I first try to get the parents to accept it and try to deal with it and also try to take time out for themselves because a lot of these parents are under stress. And over the years, what I find, people with children with disability, it breaks the family apart.
Really?
Or it brings the family closer.
Right.
Yeah.
And is that again because just of the amount of time that's
The
needed,
stress.
the stress to
Not
work
knowing
with the
what
child?
to do.
And do you think it's the not knowing that actually
I think it's the not
contributes?
knowing. Yes, absolutely. I think it's really the not knowing what to do or how to do it.
Which is why, of course, you decided to think, right, dedicate really
Yes,
your life
yes,
to what
yes,
you do
yes.
and write some books. So
Yes.
you've written 2 books. So tell us about those.
Well, the first book was called Hope is a Mother's Savior.
Which
Children,
we've got here.
yes. And how that book came about, I would go home and I would tell my husband that things, you know, that children do. And it's like, really? And I'm saying, yeah, they're just like any other kids. They have little tricks. They try to outsmart you. They try to sass you. They only have autism. And in 2011, I was a Teacher of the Year in New Jersey. I won the Teacher of the Year award. And my principal, she was so instrumental. She said, Lena, you need to write a book about what you do. And she was very instrumental in helping me to write the book, Children with Autism. And when I wrote that book, and I also along the way, I've always written. I've written poems and
so
other
you've
books.
always been a writer.
Yes. However, I also had written a book about a young boy who lost his home in a fire.
Right.
So when this book was sent off to the publisher said, do you have any other writings? I said, yeah, I have a book somewhere about a boy that lost his home in a fire. She said, send it to me. And she said, you know what, both books need to be published right away because both of the books are talking about hope.
Yes.
Hope about the young boy
So they're
who lost his
positive.
home in a fire, and hope to the parents, tell him, look, your child has autism. However, if you do this, your child can learn just like any other child. They may not reach to the point where your other child is, but they can learn as best as they can to their capability.
Fantastic.
So both books were actually published at the same time.
Brilliant.
Yes.
And what was the reaction to your books?
In Jamaica, it was a big deal in my
Yes,
country because
yes,
that's where I'm from.
yes.
And in America, I got so much support from the school district where there was a big launch at Seton Hall University. It was very well taken.
received.
Yes, well received, yes.
Excellent. And you've printed the books in other languages.
Yes,
You know, so
yes.
you've written that in
Yes.
Mandarin, Chinese, and what other language? Spanish.
Because the population in which I work, there's a large Spanish population. And even though the kids are proficient in English, a lot of time the grandparents, great-grandparents at home, they don't speak the language so well. So that's when I had the book translated in Spanish.
And with autism, does it affect females, males? Is there your likelihood or more risk if you're a male or a female?
Interestingly enough, the scientist shows that boys are more affected, and girls, when they have it, it's more severe.
Really?
Yes.
So
there are
you're more
boys.
likely, you're more at risk if it's a
If
boy,
you're a male,
if you're
yes.
a male. But you'll have it more
Severely if you're a girl.
And any
Yes.
thoughts on that? Any personal thoughts on that?
The
Lena?
scientists right now, it's one of those things that is still under investigation. They're still doing research, but no one is really coming out and highlighting the cause of
Why?
autism. They're saying there's no cure for autism, and nobody can point to what causes autism. But parents, like I say, excuse me, they do have their suspicion as to the things that cause autism. And parents have on their own, they have taken certain steps, like they've changed the diet.
I was going to say, does
Yes.
diet and things like that help?
Yes.
And exercise, does that play a part?
Well, what I've found, a lot of parents have put their kids on gluten-free diet because a lot of kids, they're hyper. They tend to do other things, you know, maladaptive behaviors. And parents have testified that once have changed the sugar level, the salt level, the gluten level, the behaviors have changed.
Really? So
Yeah.
again, parents, I think, as you said, they will
Yes.
try anything,
Yes,
really, won't
and
they?
you know,
to-
parents have a gut feeling of what to do. Sometimes they're not sure about it, you know.
but
and
they'll
parents,
just give it a go
Yes,
because
yes,
of thing.
absolutely.
And with the various spectrums, you can have it quite severely.
Yes.
And then you can have just
mild.
A mild.
Mhm,
So
like
what would be a mild case of autism?
A mild case
Then
of autism.
how would we know that somebody's got a mild case of autism? What would be
Perhaps
the
you,
classic signs,
a
maybe?
classic sign, you may have a child who's bright, but he's not looking at you at all. He can do everything
So
else.
again, it goes back to the
Yes, he's not making any eye contact with you. Or he's afraid of certain color. If it's red, he doesn't want to sit there. Or if it's crunchy, he won't eat it. Or if it's soft, he won't touch it. Or the child is fine, but he will not eat any food unless it's lined up. It's in a certain plate.
Yes.
It's in a certain texture about it.
So that's kind of mild.
That's mild.
And
yeah.
then go to the other end of the
The
spectrum.
other end is where you have a child who's always flapping, falling over on the floor. I've seen it in supermarkets. And as a matter of time, sometimes in supermarkets, I've been advocate for parents. Because, you know, in the public, people will look at the parents as if you're like a bad parent. The child is not throwing himself down because he wants to or he wants to display bad behavior. It's because the sound, the smell, they're all bombarding this child. And he doesn't
bombards their brain.
And he doesn't know what to deal with it.
He doesn't know what to deal with it. And so what brings you to the UK? I mean, you've written books. I mean, you're a very inspiring woman. You belong to the Autistic Society in America. But here in the UK, what are you doing here in the UK?
Well, I came to visit family. I have sisters and nieces and nephews all over. And I have nieces who are educators themselves.
Wonderful.
So I'm here for a visit, and I had a function in Milton Keynes, and I also attended a function for one of my nieces here.
Brilliant. Yes. So again, and again, do you feel now you've come to the UK that autism is seen the same as the other countries that you've been to? Is there any difference with what we do here and what you do in America?
I haven't had a chance to visit any of the schools in the UK, but I've met parents with children who, you know, that are diagnosed with autism, say in churches, and children pretty much behave the same. Yeah, and I would imagine in the school system it is the same, because you know, I have a niece and nephew who are in the education system over here, and they'll talk about children with autism. And some of the signs that I see, some of the problems that parents are having, is pretty much the same.
So what do you feel, is there anything we can do? Can we do more with children with autism, Lena? What would you like to see done?
What I would like to see is acceptance, to realize that children, so they have autism, so what? And now what do you do moving forward? Accept it, that they're children, they have a need, and there should be more services to help the parents coping with the child and to get help for the child. So the child can manage.
So the child can manage further on into their life. And you do think that, you know, autism can be something that people can just say, you know, it's not acted as a stigma. That's what
it should not be a stigma.
Yes,
it should be a stigma. And in a lot of society, having a disability is a stigma. And some parents are in denial. That's why they wait until so late, because it's not unusual to see a 6-year-old, the parents is just having them diagnosed. And the earlier they can be diagnosed, the better off they are.
Oh, that's lovely. Well, Lena, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on to Cuppa TV. Joining me here in the UK, it's been wonderful to meet you. Come back again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
So that's it for today. I would like to thank all my guests for joining me on Cuppa TV. If you'd like to get in touch with us, you can do so either by Twitter or Facebook at Big Centre TV. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.